A lot of people are getting the Punisher One Last Kill a little messed up, and they're missing the point of it. I get it. Everybody wants to see Frank Castle be on mission and just do Punisher things. And so do I. But for him to do that, he has to get to a certain place. How do I know? Well, because I was a consulting producer on the Punisher One Last Kill, and I've worked with John Berthal on the Punisher since 2023 when he brought him back for Born Again, episode 4. So let's rewind. Yes, Punisher, Daredevil season 2, great. I think he did a great job. John did a great job opening that thing up. Wish there was a military advisor on there, but nonetheless, he did phenomenal. The story was phenomenal. Season 1 of the Punisher, phenomenal. Season 2 of the Punisher, good. A lot of missteps there, out of his control, of course. But they didn't have a military advisor on there. Netflix wouldn't pay for one, so you get what you get. You don't throw a fit. It was entertaining. It was great. John Bernthal's performance as the Punisher in season 2, at everything he does is phenomenal. I'm a fan, big fan, obviously. But the end of the day is him and I spoke. And in 2023, when we wrote this scene, which I feel like is still one of the best Punisher acting scenes and dialogue that's ever been written. And if you want to see that, it's on the back half of Daredevil, Born Again, episode 4. I'll even go into the timeline. So that scene that looks like this, in my mind, the timeline goes Daredevil season 2, Punisher 1 and 2, Born Again, episode 4, Punisher One Last Kill. Okay, and I'll explain why. Punisher One Last Kill, and then Born Again, episode 9, even though the costume and the wear is a little off. We'll just overlook that, okay? In 2023, him and I spoke about this. We spoke about the Punisher doing Punisher things and different missions, whether it's just hunting bad guys, anything outside of anybody that had to do with the death of Frank Castle's family. But we felt in season 2, and everybody's like, well, we've seen this story again. Yes, motherfuckers, you've seen this story, but you got to understand this guy's whole purpose of becoming the Punisher, becoming who he was because of the incidents with his family. And for him to move on from that, there has to be a reason why. He did not, this version of the Punisher only became that to avenge his family and to find who was responsible for the death of his family. Now, what happens to a man when he's mission complete? What happens when a man loses his purpose? So I wrote a book called The Excommunicated Warrior. John read this book. I forget what year this was. It was before I went on the Real Ones podcast. So you can go look at that podcast and hear the whole story about Excommunicated Warrior and how that came about. But he was inspired by this book, and a lot of the story in the One Last Kill is adaptations from stories in my life from that book. And when we were talking in 2023, walking the streets of New York, we both agreed that for Frank Castle's character to transition to become the Punisher, he has to hit rock bottom. He has to be mission complete and be in the darkest place possible, right? And I know this because when a man loses purpose after a life of service, this is what happens. There's not a whole lot of fight for living, especially if you don't have your family with you. And we see this in a lot. I mean, unfortunately, we see this in veterans and first responders that go through something like this, and they're struggling with post-traumatic stress. They're struggling with the lack of identity. They're struggling with the lack of purpose. And unfortunately, they make a permanent decision off a temporary feeling. And John felt like for him to transition to this vigilante that just wants to rid the world of evil just because he had to go there. And he had to find a reason to fight and continue to move on. Now, I know we're talking about a piece of entertainment, but for me, this story is obviously very personal because a lot of it came from my own life. And for those that don't know, Yes, I was a recon Marine. I was a Marine Raider. If you're catching this and you don't know who I am, Frank Castle's character was Force Recon Marine, and in the Marvel's adaptation, he served in Special Operations, and then supported some agency stuff with Operation Cerberus. And so there you go, Force Recon, Marine Raider, Special Operations, etc. It just made sense to bring on Special Operations veterans, and we had a Green Beret, Colton Hill, and my man Cody Alford got in there at the end as the final boss. So probably some spoiler warnings in here. If you haven't watched The Punisher: One Last Kill, I'm going to give some things away. I already have a little bit. But we felt like he had to hit rock bottom, and that's when this adaptations of seeing members of his team that were either gone, dead, or etc. And then also, so not only hitting rock bottom, but coming to the grips. And Josh Hansberger, teammate of I and business partner of the Agoge with me, and has been for years. Josh and I were on the same team. We've talked a lot about this publicly, about the selfishness part of serving. And everybody says, thank you for your service. And the reality is, yes, I say the same thing, and I appreciate that. But the reality is, when you're in a job like this, you do the job because you love the job. Being an operator, going downrange, executing missions, riding motorcycles out the back of helicopters with bad guy land with all your friends and guns is pretty freaking badass, and it's fun. Let's not get it twisted. And so there's a point in there where he kind of gets called out. He gets called out saying, you chose the deployment, you chose the next deployment, you chose the next school. And I did. I chose every school. It's a volunteer service. Like, you volunteer service, you volunteer to take selection, you volunteer to go to the schools, you want to go on deployment. So like, you raise your hand, you're like, I'm doing this. At some point, you have to accept the fact that you are making these choices. You choose to leave your family, you choose to go serve, you choose to go do this job because you want to go be Rambo, you want to go be a G.I. Joe, and you want to go execute. And to play a victim at any point is a lie. So the fact that that Frank volunteered for Operation Cerberus, that he took his team and he did the job, he has to at some point realize that the reason why his family was put in the crosshours is because of his actions and his choices, right, wrong, or indifferent. It doesn't matter. He actually had to do the job. That's a hard thing to swallow. It's a hard thing to swallow in this story, to realize that his family lost their lives because of choices he made, and that he couldn't protect them, which is a man's number one job, is to protect his family and provide for them. Furthermore, you become so disassociated with reality. Like, if you watch this, like, he doesn't care about every bad guy. He only cares about the people who had an impact or association with the death of his family. And he becomes numb to everything around it. And you see this in one of the opening shots where the city is in chaos, the city is in ruin, and he doesn't see any of it. He's completely gone, nor does he care. People are getting killed, people are getting beat up, and he's just numb to it all. And I remember that feeling. And there's another shot where he comes out after that first fight, he comes off at the balcony, and we hold there for a beat. And I want you to like, I'm giving you some exposition on what's happening in this moment. But he sits there and he watches the chaos in this building that's happening. And it's all happening. Why? Why are people getting hurt? Why are people getting killed? The guy gets thrown over a balcony. It's all because of him. This is his fault. He's created this power vacuum. He's created this chaos in this neighborhood, all because he wanted to kill people that had something to do with the loss of his family. So by him creating vengeance for his family, he has created loss and hurt and pain in so many other people's lives that don't deserve it. So standing on that balcony, he's having to eat that and realize that this is all because of him. That's heavy, right? That's heavy for anybody. Obviously, like, these are real stories that are coming out of my book, but the volume's turned up to 100 because it's Marvel, and as we said, Disney. Still can't believe this is on Disney Plus. Well done to Elena and Sana and Brad and all the guys that made this happen. Kevin Feige for putting that. That's just, I'm still blown away that this is on Disney Plus. But thank you. This is what people want. It's the #1 movie on Disney Plus, so why not? But he's having to come to grips that a lot of this is his fault, and so we have to see this man go to rock bottom, and then fight for a reason to continue to go on. And I think that in the story at the graveyard was something that happened to me at the beach, and it was the eye-opening thing. And I didn't have all the tools. I didn't know what it was, but my connection to my daughters at the time is what brought me back. And all the negative things, like I was done. They were better off without me. Like I'm holding them back. I'm the problem, and all the stuff that runs through one's head when you're in that negative space. And there he was. And this is a real thing. When a man has no purpose, he's mission complete. He has no, and even Jason said it, as Curtis says, poor Frank, all done, nothing left to do. All of this was very intentional. The wording was very intentional. The lack of wording on Frank Castles, the lack of dialogue on Frank Castles was intentional. And so it's important to see this as what that was. And it was important for John to depict what that was. And going through the fight and then having to pick, again, there's a pivotal moment. There's a pivotal moment that he has to go and he has to choose between vengeance once again, or saving a family and saving this little girl that he felt this connection to. He felt this mirror image of his own daughter, Lisa. That was the whole thing. This whole thing between him and this little girl, which was played by a beautiful little young actress, and she was so cute. She did such a great job. In the midst of all of that movie violence, she did such a great job. But you see him wanting to get at her, him wanting to get at Judith Light, at Ma Ganucci, and him make finally make the decision that he was not going to go after vengeance, that he was going to go after protect this family and protect this little girl, because something bad was going to happen, and it wasn't going to happen on his watch. And eventually you get to the end where he's like, I think I'm going to keep going. So that's a short wrap up of my experience there, or my experience with the story, and what we did. And I'll tell you, this was, as John said it, this was a low budget. They didn't give us much money. They didn't give us much time. And for it to be a #1 image, that this should tell Marvel and this should tell Disney that this is what people want. But to have almost no budget and no time, we really pulled off a miracle. And that entire cast, the entire crew, the stunt crew, everybody that had a part in this, the stunt guys the team was amazing. The entire production staff was amazing. And I mean, it was long days, and we the impossible was stacked against us, and we made it happen. And it did not happen by just one person. It was massive amounts of people that put their blood, sweat, and tears in this thing to give you guys this unfortunately very short story. And there it is. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope that this brings a little bit of light to the behind the scenes. If you want to read the story behind the story, there's a link below. It's on my website. It's on Amazon. The audiobook is amazing, but that's a little bit of the motivation behind some of the scenes and some of the psyche behind what Frank was going through at the time. And I'll leave this with one caveat: is the rooftop jump scene was done practically. John did that. Stunt guys did that. What happened after the fact, I don't know. My one thing that said was going to be stupid. Don't do it. They were like, it's going to be awesome. I was like, it's going to be stupid. Don't do it. Listen, we won 90-something% of the thing. So like, I didn't want unlimited magazines. I wanted mag changes. I wanted mag checks, press checks. I wanted shot placement. I wanted failure drills, and I wanted all of the tactics to be as real as possible. I feel like we got that to a very high percentage. I know the team guys that I'm with all appreciated what John did, and everything that he did with me, and then the Colton did the work he did with Colton, and I think it made in my opinion, one of the best action sequences that's been out there. And I really, listen, I love entertainment, but the unlimited magazine stuff drives me absolutely nuts. So and Frank Castle's character is a professional. He's one of the best. He's the best of us, and you hear that in the dialogue in the room. You are the best of us if you can catch some of that dialogue when we're screaming at our brother, because we know where he's at, and we're trying to call him out on it. But he really is, Frank Castle is the operator of all operators, and for him not to use tactics and weapon manipulation the right way, it would be a disservice to the character, and John wanted it to be real as possible, and damn did he just serve it up on a fucking silver platter for everybody. Did amazing, and I freaking love it. And yeah, that's it. What did you guys love about it? What did you hate about it? Comments in below. That's my thing. If you have more, if I didn't address something that you would like to know, now that I can talk about it, if I didn't address something you want to know more about it, I can make a part 2 to this. If not, this is the video. This is the Punisher video, and I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and go watch Punisher One Last Kill as many freaking times as possible on Disney Plus, so John can get a movie, and we'll make an actual Punisher movie with a story, right? And it won't have to do with this story. I think we put the origin story to bed on the One Last Kill, and now we can go off and join the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the Punisher and go have lots of Punisher adventures. And but that will not happen without you guys going to watch this film, and viewing it, and talking about it, and sharing it on social media. And as long as John's in the driver's seat for the story and for the writing and how Frank Castle is depicted on screen, then 2 thumbs up, we're going to be a go. And I'd love to be involved again if I get that chance. All right, guys, go watch The Punisher One Last Kill. And thank you for you guys being a fans of the Punisher. It's a character that means a lot to all of us. Peace. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate that. Remember to like it. Remember to drop me a comment. I want to respond to it. I'm actually the one responding to the comments. And if you like this video, you're going to absolutely love this one right here.